Anju Modi, Gautam Kalra, Malini Banerjee, and Mallika Jain will discuss how and why fashion thrives in the capital city. I invite Anju Modi ji to the stage. Anju Modi brand was established in 1990. She has been an integral part of the Indian fashion industry, playing a vital role in the revival of traditional crafts and textiles. Age-old techniques, long forgotten, have been revived, where the designer has created an extensive library of research and development techniques for weaving, vegetable dyeing, block printing, and traditional embroidery. I invite on stage Mr. Gautam Kalra. Gautam Kalra began his career with a top advertising agency, from where he moved to be a restaurateur for a conceptual fine dining restaurant cum fashion store, Grasshopper. He has created some unforgettable campaigns and fashion shoots for over 2 decades now. He's also a brand consultant for established and upcoming designers. Mallika Jain. Mallika Jain is the proprietor of Fashion Capsule, a fashion and lifestyle shopping exhibition brand, which is a New Delhi-based one-day gala shopping experience, which aims to bring together multiple fashions, lifestyle, creative and boutique brands under one roof. She has also won prestigious awards. Malini Banerjee. She's the fashion designer of Elle India, an experienced special correspondent with a demonstrated history of working in the print, publishing, and digital media. Malini is skilled in feature writing, travel writing, news writing, headline writing, editing, writing opinion pieces, personal essay writing, storytelling, and other allied skills. Our moderator is Mallika Jain ji. I request her to kindly take over the proceedings of this session.
Hello. Hi, am I audible to everyone? Firstly, thank you, Malvika ji, for giving me this opportunity to talk in front of such highly esteemed, experienced people from the fashion industry. And yes, apart from moderating, I'll just start by talking a little bit about fashioning the city and what I do and how I contribute to fashioning New Delhi per se. So, New Delhi. I would say New Delhi is the hub of the fashion industry. It's no longer Mumbai. It's no longer Mumbai anymore. And women in Delhi are highly fashion conscious. I think they know what to wear when, be it a wedding, be it a fashion show, be it a cocktail, or be it a bachelorette party, going to the mall, they know what to wear when. And people like us are the ones who are giving them that platform. So I organize exhibitions by the name of Fashion Capsule, where I create a platform for women in terms of, understanding fashion. And this happened, I think, 5-6 years ago. I was working with a luxury brand, and I was just sitting with a few friends of mine, and I said, where do women shop? Apart from luxury brands and high streets, there are a lot of upcoming designers, new and emerging ones, maybe the lady next door, who's doing such exceptionally well garments or jewelry, textiles, etc. And they need that platform, that market to showcase and market their goods. And also customers, I mean, apart from luxury brands or high streets, they really don't know where to go. So that's where I created the platform of exhibitions, where we promote upcoming designers. We create that platform, and that's how people get to know, and that's how they fashionize and fashion themselves. So that's what I can say. That's how we are fashioning the city, through exhibitions. And of course, social media does hold a big place, because that's how we market all the brands. Social media, which is like Facebook and Instagram, that's how we promote these designers. And customers nowadays, I mean, they get to know everything through Instagram. Anything they want to buy, you can just go, you're following bloggers nowadays. The amount of bloggers who are there, who are trending in the industry is it's going viral. So people are just following bloggers, they're following exhibitions and designers, and that's how each woman in New Delhi is fashioning themselves. So that's how New Delhi is getting fashionable. So yes, Gautamji, would you like to tell us about yourself and how you fashionize the city?
Good evening, everyone. Well, thank you for having me over. Well, I think it can be an interesting conversation with Malini, Anju, and all of us sitting here. So I think when I think about, I was told it's all about Delhi ki Sanskriti. So to me, fashion eventually has to translate to the real world, to all of you, to everyone sitting here. And when I was 4 years old, I moved to Delhi, so I'm pretty much from Delhi, so I can talk about it, I guess. And I think when we first, way before Malini or I ever became stylists, I mean, we obviously got or Anju before she became a designer, we have had influences of women around us. Our mothers, our grandmothers, our masis, or whatever. I think largely a lot of Delhi comes from Pakistan post-partition. And I think for me, it was very interesting now when I look back on things, you know, the way I dress myself keeps changing all the time, you know. So it's been a journey. I follow what I do. But I think a lot of it started, and I grew up in I'm Punjabi. And very strangely, which I think about now, my mother and my masis or my nani who came from Pakistan, I grew up around Kanjivarams. So it was strangely, I questioned them many years later, I couldn't be bothered what they were wearing, but they were elegantly dressed. And so a lot of it was about the textiles and woven textiles, because somehow that's what I first grew up with. Way before I became a stylist, I never really studied fashion anyway. It was cottons, it was dhakais, it was kanjivarams, it was, so somehow I've grown up around Bhagalpur silks. It's always been around woven textiles, way before people started talking about sustainability or any of those things which have become, and handloom, which have become big words, and I'm glad they have. And so I would say that maybe we're amongst relatively the more classy a lot of families, so we owe it to our mothers and our masis, because in my journey of Delhi, I remember in the 80s, suddenly I saw a whole bunch of Swarovski coming into the market. So what's interesting about Delhi as a city really is that it's such a huge mix of cultures. It's the capital, so you have a lot of expats who live here. They always have. You've got the embassies, then you've got the politics. The politicians live here. We have the leading designers who've always been from Delhi. And there's, and it's such a mix. East Delhi, West Delhi, South Delhi, now Noida and Gurgaon, part of Delhi. You look, if you stay in, I stay in an apartment complex in Noida, and I look around, and it's so interesting to see everyone's different. So I'm glad we are. I'm glad there's individuality. And I see a lot of badly dressed people. I personally cannot bear synthetics. And that must be thanks to the family I come from. So, I mean, I owe everything I have to all the women around me when I was growing up. So, and I still haven't understood how come my entire set of masis and all, even today when they go for a wedding, they wear South silks. You know, it's never been, and I am pretty sure this is going to carry on this side as well, and you would agree. But it's interesting. I think we have artists, we have politicians, we have designers, we have businessmen, we have all of that. There has always been, if I go to a party in Bombay, I am often very surprised. I go with maybe my friends, but I go to some socialites' homes and I see people wearing patent leather in the humidity and heat, and I don't understand, because dressing up should be according to weather, body type. I've personally never ever believed in trends, and there was a time I think I used to dress like a rainbow, and I used to be wearing color head to toe, and now I feel really fat and older. And today I dress like this, tomorrow it may be something else. I don't know, but I listen to my heart. And I feel a lot of people don't, but luckily in Delhi a lot of people do. I happen to go to a lot of homes I grew up, I studied in a school called Delhi Public School, Mathura Road. I went to DU, went to Delhi School of Economics. And, we've seen a mix of different kinds of people that we've always had. In this room itself, there'll be people, we all have different tastes, and that's okay. But I think I'm going to now leave this conversation to Anju, because she does some beautiful textiles, because I personally believe in anything but synthetic. And be classy and a balanced look, which I think Malini and I can elaborate on more a little bit later. So over to you, Anju.
Thanks for having me here, especially to Malavika. She's a great friend of mine, and well, I admire you because she's involved with a lot of educational institutes and dedicatedly doing so. So I think that's a great service to the society. And whatever we are doing in our small way, we are also trying to contribute our own little bits sometimes. So I've made some notes because I'm not that great a speaker, but I speak from the heart. Okay, so, well, it's a new platform and a new subject for me, fashioning the city. Like, okay, now we should be fashioning the city for the future, what comes tomorrow, or little more next 10 years, or maybe 20 years to come. Because as we always think in future, the designers, they think of the trends beforehand. So for me, this is a kind of a huge task, because now whatever has happened. And when I start looking back, where were we some eras back, some hundreds of years back, I can see that Mughal era, the Mughal Empire ruling the city, Delhi was the city of their Aurangzeb and Akbar and so rulings. And during the Akbar time, maybe the art and craft and all the kind of beautiful, music and so many cultures of our countries prospered. That's what I hear. Think back till that time only, because according to me, that was a happy time, progressing time. And of course, we remember, we read the historical references and go through the museums and the Indian miniature paintings, we see that beautiful Angrakhas and Kalidars and those Meena Bazaars happening in Delhi, Chandni Chowk, and all the gullies, Kinari Bazaar, Gota Gali, all these kind of, so that was the rich and affluent time, I would say, and people were enjoying living life in whichever, I feel we have a happy picture of those times, at least I think I have in my historical references. Of course, so many political upheavals must be happening, but I think Delhi starts from that time of the culture. उसकी संस्कृति उतनी पुरानी मैं देख पाती हूँ, उसके पहले का मुझे इतना समझ नहीं है. Delhi wasn't Delhi before. Yes, South Delhi is the new the new progression. So anyway, so I went back to that time, and of course the political upheaval happened, and the British Raj happened, and the struggle of the freedom fight started happening, influences of Britishers started happening, and at that time I could see the resurgence of our own culture. Our khadi fabric happened, that became the freedom fighters fabric. The leaders, the Gandhians and the Vivekanand and all these kind of people started promoting that and discarding the foreign, anything foreign. And our country was always a very, very handmade, hand-woven textiles, as Gautam has been talking about. So this was kind of a symbol that we would like to be self-reliant, not depending on the Britishers. And it was kind of a huge, you can say the reasons, many economical reasons became the reason for the changes and evolution to the fashion of our country. And then the complete transformation happened with the internet and the other so-called progress of the science and technology. So here we are lifestyles have changed, the world have become smaller, the Kanjivarams have gone to the mothers and the masis only, and the new fashion has emerged. And of course, everything is accessible to everyone. It is becoming a very fast life, and we are facing a very tumultuous time, I would say. And as a designer, I think I am seeing a very huge troubled time ahead, as what is going to happen to the whole world with these kind of knitted fabrics, which is going for the landfills, and the synthetic and so fibers and variety of mechanism. So what it was and what it is today, and how do I see it in future, or how I would like to see it tomorrow. What's my vision? What's my action plan for fashioning the city as I would like it to become? Well, what's my responsibility as a designer, as a human, towards the society, and towards the world? I'm feeling that's my calling. So let me elaborate on this as I see it. We are lucky to inherit this huge treasure of our heritage, our culture, music, dance, art, and craft, which are so unique and timeless. And I think the new definition of luxury is the timeless art. So we designers are using our legacy of such beautiful textiles, our varied crafts, to design and dress you all. We design a community completely indebted to this sector of our rural country, that is whole community of these beautiful handwork artisans, right? So I can talk about myself. I learnt it all by traveling from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, absorbed and imbibed the culture by living with them, having their food, and kind of really understanding our Sanskriti from the very close quarters. I can reminisce about the times when I used to travel alone to these far, beautiful remote areas, and फिर पहली बारिश की सुगंध आ रही है और हम अमलतास और गुलमोहर के पेड़ों के नीचे बैठे हैं, उनकी बनारस की जो ठंडी कुल्फ़ी खा रहे हैं, राजस्थान की तपिश में तप रहे हैं. Yeah, I used to go to Bhuj, Mundra, Mandvi, and there समुद्र की लहरों को गिन रहे हैं, उनकी टाई एंड डाई बांधनी को समझ रहे हैं. So I think those were the times which needs to come back. This really needs to come back. And as I can see that this huge change in this kind of a time, which is kind of, we are experiencing a huge turmoil around us, and the greed for wealth, power, name and fame is propelling us to the whole mankind, rather, to some kind of vortex from where there is no return, no stopping us. In fact, we may even go to the extinction, the humanity. So we need to face this new reality. What path should we take? What changes? Rather, complete paradigm shift is required for this new way of living. I, as a designer, can only suggest and work in my own little ways to realize my dream of this world of tomorrow. Delhi is, of course, my starting point. I had always believed in natural fiber and fabrics, and this sector has really given me the anchor to maintain my equilibrium in my tumultuous life. So these crafts, according to me, why am I stressing upon this hand-woven, handmade, everything? Because they have a beautiful way of transcending you to a spiritual world, to a very joy, peace, and like a sense of fulfillment kind of a feeling. Because it's a very meditative work. You need a huge kind of discipline in yourself to focus and concentrate on doing a handwork, to do those 250 hours of painstakingly tie and dye work, or do a weaving or a jamdani shikarga. So this kind of gives you a very lyrical mindfulness. It makes you arrive at a very positive energy. It gives you makes you reach to a very beautiful, loving, spiritual world. So I think this is a gateway to this new kind of understanding, and the world requires to get these same emotions back. It has the kind of capacity to actually completely turn around the whole psyche of the human world. And since I am in this field, so I feel this is the way to do my bit. And if I can manage to bring back the sustainability factor in the fashion, more of the Delhi Haat and Kisan Haat kind of bazaars, less of metros, and more of those beautiful afternoons when we are happily shopping and, talking and having conversations with our family and friends, and then decluttering our wardrobes completely and just having very few beautiful, handcrafted, luxurious, in my terms, in my definition, but some nice, timeless garments which I'm ready to make and sell, and then hand it over to the next generation. So I think that's my contribution and vision and utopian Delhi, which I'm envisioning of. And I think that's the kind of world which we can hand over to the new generation, which we have right now. We have spoilt everything, so we need to correct it and hand it over to you guys so you can live happily ever after. So thank you, that's my vision. Next to Malini.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me here. So I'm going to emphasize on what's missing in Delhi and what we could probably build towards. I think awareness, just awareness about fashion. It's not just bridal or a little frivolous community that just does stuff twice a year. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it and a lot of time, investment. And at the same time, obviously, it's business as well. It's trade. So I just don't think it gets the respect that it deserves. What would be nice is probably more public awareness, being at public spaces. There could be installations, there could be collaborations with government to just sort of have public being involved, so you get to see there's so much more than this. And we have a rich heritage. We have textiles, weaves, handicrafts, we have saris. There's so much to talk about. A place like this, I would imagine you would have a documentary on, there's so many designers who've contributed to it. There's so much history that's there. And I think that's exactly what's missing. We just don't celebrate it enough. Yes, there are fashion weeks, but for us, fashion weeks are trade businesses. You know, it's not just 5 days of let's get dressed and go out. And unfortunately, there has to be a way where you get it out there for other people to see it as well. Right now, you don't have that opportunity, hence, maybe it seems like a sector of people who just go out every morning, get dressed, get some pictures clicked, and come back at night. And the thing is, there's so much more that goes into it. I could tell Anju Modi puts in a whole lot of effort for just one collection that has to go out there. And then she has to think about merchandising, giving it to stores, sales, all of that. And all that process is missed by everyone else. So what would be nice is probably get a sense of it in a lot more, like an experience maybe. I know Anit Arora from Pero is doing a little installation experience at 3 Barakhamba Road, and that involves mainly a lot of textile, her storytelling, crafts that she's worked towards, fabrics and textiles that she's worked with, and that exactly opens up a whole new world. Bikaner House hosts a whole lot of these little, let's say, a future collective that's going on. And these are the kind of things you need to be forthcoming to us. You want to see that, want to understand what this is. And that's exactly why more and more, I think the students would be, I guess, open to the idea of what to expect from fashion. I think when you sign up for a Pearl or any other academy, the perception is so different from what reality is. And the more you try and go to these places, you would know there's so much more, and what drives you. Why would you want to be there? So yeah, I think it's important to bring it out to public spaces, public awareness, and that's the only way to make it a little more serious a business. Thank you.
Thank you all. I mean, you all have enlightened us so much with your take on fashioning the city. Anjuji, I have a question for you. So you're a costume designer for some of India's finest, best movies. Could you share some experience with us which has been very breathtaking and something very close to your heart?
As Malini said, we don't know so many things happening behind the scene. We see only the front. So we see the movies, and it's there on the silver screen, and we see, okay, wow, everything is happening well and nice, and she's looking beautiful. So behind that, I mean, you can say what goes behind the scene, what goes at back end. A lot of research, a lot of, creative interactions with everybody, with the director, with the choreographer, with the stage director, everything. So we have to be very open-minded, and it's a very, I would say, enriching experience for me. But of course, that is what is required, and that at that time, you are very much kind of in a stress. Oh, I need to give you my best. I can't fail the movie. It's a huge, you can say, investment for so many people involved in it. So a lot of responsibility on me. So we do it with fun and tension along with it. So anyway, so that was what it was, and then how the costumes will get made, and then so at the sets, many things will happen. And as they were all historical movies, I had used many antique pieces which we couldn't find the duplicate of. So, well, in the movies, the shooting happens for 18 days, 20 days, the same scene. She's dancing, and then again the same steps, then again the same steps. And as an onlooker, I wouldn't realize why so many retakes. But as the keen eye of the director, Sanjay Leela Bhansali, would say, नहीं, ठीक नहीं हुआ. यहाँ expression ठीक नहीं हुआ. वहाँ दूर पे वो जो टर्बन वाला बंदा था, वो 1 इंच नीचे बैठ गया. उसको वहीं खड़ा करो. So he was like, so very perfectionist. And then it will happen and happen. And the whole day has gone. The garment is about to go for a dry cleaning and washing. And then I will realize, oh, this can't be washed. Hello, wait, ये अभी रुक जाओ, इसको धो नहीं सकते. तो फिर उसको फिर next day announce होता था कि you have to handle the costumes very, very carefully because there are no duplicates of this. So, well, anyway, things has to happen. So we had to make the skirts as a duplicate. The borders has to be removed from the original one and then placed on the duplicate one after 4-5 days so that the continuity can happen. And of course, the announcement used to be there. Everybody has to handle these costumes very carefully. So all these kind of fun times were there, stress times were there. And one of these kind of so many moments, so many beautiful moments had happened when one of those Bajirao Mastani song was being picturized, Diwani Mastani Ho Gayi. Yes. So Sanjay was wanting a red color. I said, no, that will shout a lot. So I made a very pale gold, green, dhani color. So when both the dresses were being compared, so Deepika just snatched the green one and she said, I loved this. And that was the day. So those are like, like really special, rewarding moments for me.
Moments, yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Malini, so you're the fashion director for Elle magazine, which is super, super interesting. And it is one of the leading fashion magazines in the country. So how could you describe a typical day at the Elle office, say a Monday?
I wish there was more of a pattern. I think what makes it fun is a lack of a pattern. I could be on a long-haul flight on a Monday. I could be sitting at a desk at Monday. I could be at a shoot location on Monday. I could be doing several meetings on Monday. Or I could be at an event on Monday. So there is just no similar Mondays ever.
But like, what is the whole day like, when it comes to,
It's this melting pot of everything. So it could be about putting together what's the next issue going to be, what are the shoots going to be, who's going to be on the cover, what are the other talking points on the digital platform as well as print, what do you want to emphasize about, and then there could be several, let's say, additional events that will lead on to, let's say, upcoming Women's Day. You could be doing something there. And line up contributors, speakers. There could be a fancy location where you're waking up every day 4 a.m. for work. So the only thing that you see is probably from the window of your hotel. And so it's got everything. It's really up to you what you make out of it. Yeah.
Very energizing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Gautam, as we know, Delhi is a city with varied cultures and festivals, and now, the kind of weddings which are taking place, it's getting bigger and bigger, better, more fancier, a lot of everything. What is your take on that?
Bigger's not necessarily better, it's really interesting. Like we were talking about, for this generation, they may not know, but here in the front over here, most of our parents in Delhi, since I want to talk about Delhi, that's what the subject is. We did come from Pakistan and moved here, so there's a lot of its, interaction there. And we've all seen, for example, like I was saying to Anju earlier, there was a time when we grew up, and I grew up near Delhi University, and South Delhi was Connaught Place. South Delhi people used to say, don't go that side. Vasant Vihar and all didn't exist, and it was scary to drive there at night. But I'm also seeing what's very interesting in Delhi is that we've seen it grow. Like I said, there's the business, there's the housewife, there's more people dynamic, more people are working, and husbands and wives are often both bread earners, and women are working now, single working moms, and everybody wants to be, not many people want to get married anymore. Times keep changing. We've seen, I think I've just seen a huge change in the sense there's people, like Anju was saying, and like Malini was saying, that there's people who believe in who've always grown up around textiles of a certain kind. And then there is a lot of people and Bollywood, I think that's an interesting topic. It's not just about Delhi, it's about India. It's a very influential voice. So when an Anju dresses someone or Malini styles someone on a cover, it's a very powerful voice, because most people here may not know what we're talking about in other ways, but if a Bollywood star wears a certain thing, then everybody kind of wakes up, Bollywood and cricket. So, you've got, Delhi's a melting pot. It really, really is. You go to a wedding, and like I said, the wedding scenes become bigger, and I think a lot of it has become bigger because it's a lot about keeping up with the Joneses. It's a lot about showing off, unfortunately. And, so that's when you first asked me about it, I said, bigger's not always better. You could, our mothers mostly wore simple saris today, and there's nothing wrong. They should wear beautiful designer clothes versus ghastly designer clothes. But what's ghastly to me and you may totally differ. I may love black, you may hate black. I may love pink, you may hate pink, and that's individuality. And Delhi really is the capital of India, and it is very influential. So people like yourself, Anju, Malini, they have a voice and they use their voice, and that voice reaches out to a lot of people. And often, we've seen Styling to the Stars, Malini. We've, anyway, sat in many rooms and discussed this. But, as much as one likes it and you can say, oh, Bollywood's this and Bollywood's that, there are stylists to the stars, and they are doing a great job. Look at Kareena then, look at Kareena now. She's a lot better, and that's thanks to people here. And, so the way you dress should always be who you are, but I hope you have good taste and you aspire to the work that the magazines are putting out, or Anju's putting out, or other designers are putting out, because there's all kinds of work here. And sustainability, we were talking about, comes at a price point. It's not cheap anymore. There's no longer, Khadi Gram Udyog, and it's cheap. It's very expensive, but it takes a lot of time doing something, and timelessness in one's wardrobe is everything. I always say, even if you're talking about investing, suddenly there's this splurge of foreign, this thing about foreign brands coming in, and everyone wants a Birkin, and the Birkin costs 20 lakhs plus, and there's a waiting list for the bags, and but then if you have the money and you want to do it, invest in a classic black bag that you can wear, that's functional, that's practical. So I have always admired the part of Delhi. I see a lot of women here in beautiful textiles sitting in front of me. It is, and I'm not saying don't wear something, you can be who you are. I just relate to a certain lot of people that wear wovens, and I always have. And I relate to people who are generally more minimal in real life. When actresses are in a film, they're playing a part, a character. If that character needs to be loud or whatever, then you've got to dress them for the part. That doesn't mean you need to dress like that. So be who you are, follow what is right for you, for the weather we live in, for day dressing, night dressing, your day, how it evolves. So it really is about functionality, and it's about the right choices. And I would say don't follow trends, and and really you go to a wedding, there could be 2,000, like 2,000 weddings tonight. What I love is each of these weddings are completely different kinds of people, and it's all Delhi. So I belong to a certain Delhi, I think we all do. And then there's many people who have their world, and even in Bollywood now, I think there's a lot of movies that are doing everything around Delhi, because I think Delhi people are really interesting. It's really got so much subject to talk about. But I think at the heart of it, Delhi versus Bombay has always been a fashion battle. And I think Delhi, in general, even with its varied tastes and different types of people, I think stands out because it's generally more classy. We've got winter and we've got summer, so we've got weather, unlike Bombay. We've got the pashminas that we can use, the boots that we can wear, the tights that one can do, silks that you take out in winter and cottons in summer. Synthetics are never a no for me, and I'm sure for most of us. But there are people who like that. So it's very interesting for me to get out of our world and to see somebody who's not my world, because I find it fascinating, because I don't really know who they are. And I want to know them because I know my world, but I don't know them because it's interesting, So it's just so many different kinds of things as a capital of the city that Delhi does offer. So, yeah, really, that's I'm just saying the diversity is interesting to me.
Yes, it is. It is very diverse. Anyone from the audience who'd like to ask any questions? Yes.
My mother opened Delhi's first boutique, Raj Creations. We still exist. We're 52 years old. So what was a boutique doing in 1967 when Indian women didn't go out to buy clothes in a boutique? Well, she was catering to the diplomatic community. But a lot of Indian ladies used to come to our boutique in Yashwant Place for sightseeing. It was a boutique where you went to sightsee. What's a boutique? So that was one thing. And we had tailors who could make anything. They were making Western wear. And I still don't understand where they got the training from. These were not long dresses like we see today, which are long anarkalis, for example. They were proper Western garments, and our masterjis knew how to make them. We had one Qayyum masterji who would take days to complete one outfit, but you could not tell him to work fast. So these were the kinds of things which were happening with us. And we didn't have a choice but to work with natural fibers. We didn't realize that we were working with natural fibers, but that is what my mother had available to her, and that's what she worked with. Then along came something slippery and like Lizzie Busy, which was shocking to us. We never used it, I promise you. And then what we noticed was, I think the word we're using today is influencer, but I do feel that my mother, in her way, was an influencer because a lot of boutiques opened once we opened up to the Indian, we opened up the boutique with Indian designs. So the Patiala Salwar, etc., were some of our very big moments. And so we've seen a lot of changes. Fashion has really evolved since then. And of course, before us, during that time, where did women, has anybody ever questioned where did women go before that? Where did you get your wedding clothes from? Anybody have any thoughts about that?
I think that's exactly
Fashion
what I
existed.
did bring up earlier. Our mothers wore simple saris. So you're absolutely right.
No, there was a lot of embroidery. So you had the,
Of
Karol
course.
Bagh
Of
was catering
course.
to the wedding wear,
Of course.
etc.
Of course.
So just in case some, you have a lot of youngsters here, so that's why I thought it was a good idea to
Yes,
reach out.
very good
Thanks.
idea.
Thanks for giving me time.
Thank you. Anyone else who has any questions? What about all the students? This is the subject of your choice, I'm sure.
Good evening, ma'am. This is the first time that I'm actually hearing anything about fashion. It's the first time in my life. For me, fashion is more difficult than my writing, than my own poetry. Poetry is much more simpler than these hand-woven textiles or those fabrics. But tell me something that how would you like to describe the fashion for a person like me, like for a layman? For a layman, for where I can discover myself and my new stream of poetry in that, which you also mentioned in our garments, that you especially mentioned about those hand-woven skirts or that kind of things, where I can dream something about a new revolutionary culture for writing something.
Firstly, let me compliment me on your knowledge of the poetry and the vocabulary. It's difficult for me to write a poetry and difficult for you to do a fashion garment. So
Yeah,
it's
very
each to your own
complicated
talent, I would say. So all right, firstly, fashion for me means positive attitude.
Okay.
And putting your best foot forward, what
Yeah.
makes you look the most beautiful, what makes you most comfortable, so that you are being yourself. So we as a designer, then we design according to your body requirement, your geographical requirements, and I think Gautam and Malini style it accordingly.
You style
You're
according
right.
to that.
Yes, according
But
to
according to your soul
according to
requirements.
your personality, your work environment,
Yeah.
and what is the need of the occasion. So everything is very relevant in how you would like to dress. If you are going for some fast city where you have to keep on walking and ride the trams and buses, then you need accordingly. You can't carry a huge skirt or anything. Then
Yeah.
you need a very nice tight pants or trousers or something. So everything is according to the need of the hour, need of the person,
Need of the
and it's
person.
very relevant. So fashioning is actually designing as per the need. So you come to me, I'll design for you.
Okay, thanks for that. But I'll wait for that. But I'll really wait for that one day when I'll wear
I will wait.
your
No,
designed
you are
outfit.
supposed to come.
I'll wait
I
for
will
that
wait.
day. Really. Definitely, I'll wait for that day. That special one day of my life. Because, and one more question. Ma'am, can you, your hand-woven fabrics, do they transpire, do they communicate with our soul and mind?
Oh, yes, yes.
To let that creativity flow?
See, what your question is actually very deep,
Yeah.
because the hand movement in a dance form, in a hand woven fabric, so it requires a very like a tremendous discipline, a supreme level of discipline to manage your motor movements, to express something, to say something, whether it's your vocal cords, your hands, but it all connects to your mind. The mind connects to the soul. The minute you concentrate,
Yeah.
your soul starts having conversation. So your hand is having conversation.
Hand is also that having conversation. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anjuji, Malini, and Gautam. I think it's been a very enlightening session, and everyone will have a lot to take back home and think about. Thank you all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.